Thank you so much, Pamyan Sunim, for taking my question, and I hope you're safe throughout all of your travels. So I'm Chinese American, and throughout my life, I've always visited China every few years to see my extended family. And throughout my life, I have witnessed the relationship between the two countries completely deteriorate. And I feel like it's painfully clear that these two countries are closer to war than they have ever been. And this has been bothering me for a long time because I feel like war is always wrong. So I am wondering, how can this be the case if the two countries, first of all, only got involved in the first place because the rulers of both wanted to make more money? Can't they just sever their relationship like divorced lovers who don't live together anymore? How can normal people support or participate in war when normal people everywhere would almost all of them never take a life, let alone take the life in the horrible ways that you would do in war? And what can I do to prevent war in my life?
첫째, 이러한 상황에서 내 마음의 평화를 먼저 유지해야 합니다.
First of all, amidst all this situation, we have to first make our minds peaceful.
내가 마음의 평화를 유지할 수 없으면 미국이나 중국 누군가를 미워하게 됩니다.
If we don't remain peaceful in our minds, it is inevitable that we become resentful towards either country, U.S. or China.
평화를 가져오기 위해서 폭력적으로 행동할 수도 있습니다.
Or it can lead us to act in a violent way in the name of peace.
그렇기 때문에 먼저 이러한 세상의 변화를 이해할 필요가 있습니다.
So first of all, we need to first have a accurate understanding of what's happening in this world.
과거 수천 년의 역사를 살펴보면 이 탑에 있는 두 세력은 이렇게 패권 경쟁을 할 수밖에 없습니다.
So if we look back on the history of humankind, the sort of top two persons or top two countries or top two groups, they inevitably have to have a conflict or competition.
대부분 전쟁으로 결론이 나게 됩니다.
In most cases, the results and consequence was a war.
그러나 반드시 그런 것은 아닙니다.
But not all the time.
2차 세계 대전 후 소비에트와 미국은 경쟁 관계에 있었습니다.
So for example, after the Second World War, the Soviet Union and the U.S. were in competition.
소비에트가 해체될 때 이건 전쟁을 통하지 않고도 해체됐습니다.
But the Soviet Union, when it was dissipated, there was no war.
지금 미국과 중국 관계는 그것보다는 좀 더 경쟁 관계가 심하고 어렵게 생각이 됩니다.
But it is true that current situation between the U.S. and China, it's a little severe or in a non-amicable relations than that time.
물론 경쟁하지만은 공통부모 경제적으로는 많은 공통적인 연관을 갖고 있습니다.
Although they're in competition, they also have a lot of commonalities and common grounds.
그래서 저는 전쟁으로 결론이 날지 경쟁하다가 협의해서 결론이 날지 제가 볼 때는 반반 정도 보고 있습니다.
So from my perspective, in my opinion, there are 50-50 chance whether there's a war as a result or just keeping this competition continues.
지금 우크라이나와 러시아의 전쟁을 막는 방법은 러시아 사람들이 반전 운동을 할 때 가장 효과적입니다.
So let's look at the Ukraine war. So the way to stop the war in Ukraine is Russian people have a anti-war protest inside Russia.
내부에서 평화운동이 일어나서 전쟁을 멈추면 어느 누가 하나 패배하지 않고 전쟁을 끝낼 수 있습니다.
So if there's an anti-war protest and those strengths inside of the Russia comes into play, then there's no one who actually was defeated during the war.
그렇기 때문에 이것을 전쟁을 통하지 않고 전쟁을 하지 않고 평화를 유지하려면 미국은 미국 안의 국민들이 중군 주간의 국민들이 평화운동을 해야 합니다.
So in order to resolve the situation between U.S. and China at this point, we need respective countries' people. So American people in the U.S. and Chinese people in the China, they have to have this movement, anti-war movement inside the nations.
근데 이러한 경쟁 관계에 처할 때 내부에서 평화운동을 하는 것은 오히려 내부에서 많은 비난과 저항을 받기 때문에 어려움이 있습니다.
But when the two countries are in conflict or competition, and the competition is severe, if you have this anti-war or anti-conflict movement inside your country, you may have to receive a lot of criticism or, refusal from inside.
중국에서 만약에 그렇게 한다면 미국 간첩이라고 모함을 받을 수 있고 미국에서 그렇게 한다면 중국 편이라고 모함을 받을 수가 있습니다.
So if you do so in China, you will be criticized being a traitor to your country, and if you do it in the U.S., you will be criticized as a traitor to your country.
그렇기 때문에 이런 어려움을 우리가 알고도 전쟁을 막기 위해서는 평화운동을 해야 합니다.
But understanding all these difficulties that might happen, we need to be proactive and engage in peace movement.
염려하거나 불안해하는 것보다는 작은 행동을 하는 게 더 중요합니다.
So I think that it is more important to make a small action, however small that is, rather than worrying or being anxious about what's going to happen.
Thank you so much. That helps.
네.